What if a country's most valuable export wasn't oil, or coffee, or gold, but a manufactured dream? A dream so potent it became a national obsession, built on a foundation of impossible beauty against a backdrop of devastating collapse. This isn't just a place on a map, it's a paradox, a land of 7 Miss Universe crowns and chronic food shortages, of the world's tallest waterfall and some of its most dangerous cities. Most travelers see the headlines of crisis and look away. But they're missing the story. They're missing the why. Why does a nation facing hyperinflation invest its last dollars in cosmetic surgery? Why are dead gang members worshipped as saints? Join me as we look past the veil. This isn't a tour, it's an unraveling of Venezuela. Before you can understand Venezuela's crisis, you have to understand its most profound belief system. And it isn't found in a church. It's found on a runway. Here, beauty pageants are not a frivolous pastime. They are the national sport, a cultural phenomenon with the same fervor and intensity that other countries reserve for the World Cup. The annual Miss Venezuela pageant is a national institution, a night that brings the country to a standstill, where for a few hours, the glamour on screen eclipses the harsh reality outside. This isn't just entertainment, it is the culmination of a year-long nationwide obsession. This obsession is codified in a national industry, a well-oiled machine of beauty academies, or quintas. These are not charming finishing schools. They are high-pressure factories for forging beauty queens. From as young as 4 or 5 years old, girls are enrolled not in ballet or piano, but in grueling programs that deconstruct and rebuild them. They learn the signature Miss Walk, a swaying, confident glide. They take diction classes to neutralize regional accents. They endure relentless criticism of their bodies, their faces, their smiles. In some extreme, documented cases, young women have had mesh sewn onto their tongues to make eating solid food painful, a brutal shortcut to weight loss. The goal is total transformation, molding a girl from the barrio into a global icon of perfection. The country's staggering record: 7 Miss Universe titles, 6 Miss World titles, and countless other international crowns, isn't an accident. It's the product of this ruthless system, and it has created a powerful national myth: the crown as a lottery ticket. For decades, a victory in the Miss Venezuela pageant was seen as the most reliable pathway out of poverty. A title could lead to a career in television, in business, or even in politics, as was the case with Irene Suez, a former Miss Universe who became a popular mayor and ran for president. This deep cultural fixation fuels another, intimately connected industry: cosmetic surgery. In a nation where the minimum wage has often been less than $10 a month, Venezuela has long boasted one of the highest rates of plastic surgery per capita in the world. It's viewed not as vanity, but as a crucial, strategic investment in one's future. It's an entry fee into a society where opportunities are scarce and competition is fierce. Families will save for years, go into debt, or pool their resources to pay for a daughter's procedures. They see a rhinoplasty or breast augmentation not as an expense, but as a more reliable asset than a university degree in a collapsed economy. This has created a paradoxical landscape where the aesthetics of wealth persist even as the nation itself has crumbled. It's the first and most visible layer of the Venezuelan paradox. A nation fighting for survival while relentlessly chasing an impossible, and often surgically enhanced, standard of perfection. But to understand the money that once funded these dreams, and why it vanished, you have to look deep beneath the ground. For most of the 20th century, Venezuela was not a country with an oil industry. It was an oil industry that happened to have a country attached to it. Sitting on the largest proven crude oil reserves in the entire world, Venezuela was once the richest nation in Latin America, its capital, Caracas, a glittering hub of modernist architecture and American-style consumerism. The oil money, known as the Renta Petrolera, funded everything. It built futuristic highways, world-class art museums, and sprawling public universities offering free tuition. It created a society accustomed to a certain level of state largesse, where the government was the ultimate provider. This is the classic resource curse, or what some economists call Dutch disease. The sheer volume of oil money pouring into the country made its currency so that it became cheaper to import goods than to produce them locally. Over decades, Venezuela's once thriving agricultural and manufacturing sectors withered and died. Why invest in the painstaking work of growing coffee or assembling cars when you could just drill for black gold and buy everything you needed from abroad? This total dependence created a fatal vulnerability. The nation's fate was tied not to the ingenuity of its people, but to the volatile whims of the global oil market. When Hugo Chavez came to power in 1999, he harnessed this immense oil wealth to fuel his socialist Bolivarian revolution. He channeled billions into social programs called misiones, which provided food, housing, and health care to the poor, earning him the adoration of millions who had long felt ignored by the elite. But he also consolidated state control with a fervor that unnerved investors. His weekly television show, Al Presidente, became a stage for dramatic policy declarations. In a now infamous practice, he would point at a private company, a farm, or even an apartment building and declare, expropriate it. And just like that, it would become property of the state. This included a deep suspicion of foreign corporations. The 2009 ban on Cola Zero, citing vague health concerns, wasn't just about a soft drink. It was a symbolic act, part of a broader narrative that pitted the socialist state against the perceived evils of American capitalism and corporate power. For a time, with oil prices soaring above $100 a barrel, this model seemed invincible. The subsidies flowed, the revolution marched on, and the country felt prosperous. But it was a house of cards built on a single, volatile pillar. And when that pillar began to crack, the entire structure came crashing down with a speed and ferocity that shocked the world. The global oil price crash that began in 2014 was the trigger for the collapse. Suddenly, the torrent of petrodollars that Venezuela depended on for nearly 95% of its export revenue slowed to a trickle. The government, deprived of its primary income source, but desperate to continue funding its vast social programs and state payroll, did the only thing it could: it started printing money. A lot of it. The result was a hyperinflationary spiral of almost apocalyptic proportions. It's difficult to truly comprehend what this means for daily life. It's not just that things get expensive. It's that money itself loses all function and meaning. Prices would double in a matter of days, then hours. People would receive their salaries and have to spend them immediately, within minutes, before the notes in their hands turned to worthless paper. At its peak in 2018, the annual inflation rate reached an estimated 1.7 million%. Citizens were photographed using worthless Bolivar notes for origami, or simply sweeping piles of them into the trash. The government's response was a series of futile accounting tricks, repeatedly lopping zeros off the currency. 3 zeros, then 5, then another 6. A cosmetic change that did nothing to cure the underlying disease. This economic implosion created a crisis of scarcity unlike anything seen in the modern Western Hemisphere. Government-imposed price controls intended to make goods affordable had the opposite effect. They made it unprofitable for companies to produce or import anything. Supermarket shelves went bare. Finding essentials like flour, cooking oil, medicine, or even toilet paper became a full-time job. This era was defined by Las Colas, the hours, long queues that snaked for blocks outside any shop rumored to have a delivery. The collapse extended to all public services. Nationwide blackouts became routine, plunging cities into darkness for days. Water shortages forced families to collect rainwater. Hospitals became places of horror, lacking electricity, running water, and basic supplies like antibiotics or surgical gloves. Out of this chaos, a new, fractured economy emerged. An informal dollarization took hold. The US dollar, once a symbol of the empire Chavez railed against, became the only store of value. Those with access to dollars, primarily through remittances from relatives abroad, could shop at new stores called bodgones, which sold imported goods at international prices. This created a new form of economic apartheid, a society divided between those who could access the dollar economy and those trapped with worthless bolivars. When a currency becomes worthless and the state can no longer provide basic security, what happens to the value of human life itself? When the state fails, a vacuum is created. And in Venezuela, that vacuum was filled by a pervasive, brutal violence. The country became one of the most dangerous places on earth, not engulfed in a conventional war. Weakened institutions, a deeply corrupt justice system, and the widespread proliferation of firearms created a perfect storm. Organized crime flourished. Kidnappings, armed robberies, and turf wars became a part of the urban soundscape. This breakdown of order gave rise to a uniquely Venezuelan power structure, the PRAN. A PRAN is a prison gang leader who, through violence and charisma, controls not only the prison itself, but often exercises significant influence over the territory outside its walls. Using smuggled cell phones and a network of lieutenants, they run extortion rackets, coordinate kidnappings, and order assassinations from behind bars. The prison becomes their fortified palace, and the state is often powerless to stop them. The roads themselves became frontiers of lawlessness. The nation's crumbling infrastructure, potholes the size of small cars, missing guardrails, made driving a hazard. But the greater danger came from the megabandas, heavily armed gangs who set up illegal roadblocks or alcabalas to rob travelers. For many, traveling at night became a suicidal gamble. This environment of pervasive fear and the absence of a functioning justice system gave rise to one of Venezuela's most bizarre and fascinating cultural phenomena, the cult of the Santos Malandros, or the Holy Thugs. This is a sub-sect within the syncretic religion of Maria Alianza, which blends indigenous, African, and Catholic beliefs. In the sprawling cemeteries of Caracas, you will find shrines not to traditional saints, but to the spirits of deceased gang members and notorious criminals. The leader of this spiritual court is a figure named Ismael Sanchez, a petty thief killed by police in the 1970s. For his followers, he is a Robin Hood figure, a protector of the marginalized. Young men, often involved in crime themselves, pray to Ismael and his court of holy thugs for protection from police bullets, for success in their illicit activities, and for street justice. They leave offerings of cigarettes, cheap rum, and sometimes even pistols at their altars. It is a theology born from absolute desperation. When the official state can't protect you, and the official church doesn't understand your reality, you create your own saints. saints who lived and died by the same code of the street. This incredible adaptability is the key to survival, and nowhere was it more ingeniously displayed than in an abandoned skyscraper in the heart of the capital. In the center of Caracas stands a towering, 45-story unfinished skyscraper. Its skeletal concrete frame, with its gaping, windowless openings, looms over the city like a modern ruin. This is the Torre de David, the Tower of David. It was conceived in the early 90s as a gleaming financial center, a symbol of Venezuela's capitalist ambitions. But a massive banking crisis in 1994 brought construction to an abrupt halt, leaving it an empty shell. For years it stood abandoned, a monument to a failed dream. Then, around 2007, as the city's housing crisis deepened under Che Gavez, people began to move in. Not just a few squatters, but thousands. In an incredible feat of grassroots urbanism, they organized themselves and turned this vertical ruin into a functioning, self-contained community. It became internationally famous as the world's tallest slum. Life inside was a testament to human ingenuity and resilience. With no elevators, residents faced a daily climb of dozens of flights of stairs, carrying groceries, water, and gas canisters. They painstakingly rigged electrical wiring from the city grid, and created a complex system of makeshift plumbing to get water to the upper floors. The vast, open-air floors were partitioned into individual apartments using salvaged bricks, wood, and corrugated metal. A vibrant micro-economy emerged within the tower's walls. Small grocery stores, barbershops, clothing vendors, and even an unlicensed dental clinic operated out of converted rooms. The community established its own rules, its own security patrols, and its own sense of order in the midst of chaos. The Tower of David was a powerful metaphor for modern Venezuela, a grand, failed state project, repurposed by the sheer will and desperation of its people. It was a functioning anarchy, a symbol of a society forced to build its own structures in the absence of official ones. It was both a pirate utopia and a dystopian nightmare. It's important to note, the story of the tower as a living community is now in the past. In 2014, in a highly publicized operation, the government relocated all the residents to new housing projects on the city's outskirts. Today, the tower stands empty once again, a silent, hollow monument to an era when Venezuelans were forced to build life, quite literally, from the ruins of their country's ambitions. The cumulative effect of this multi-layered crisis has been a human tragedy of historic proportions. In the last decade, over 7.7 million Venezuelans have fled their country, according to UN figures. This is one of the largest displacement crises in the world, exceeding even that of war-torn Syria. They are the caminantes, the walkers, who trek thousands of kilometers across South America, crossing deserts and mountain ranges on foot, carrying what little they own. This mass migration represents a devastating brain drain, a nation hemorrhaging an entire generation of its most valuable asset, its people. The doctors, the engineers, the artists, the youth, all scattered across the globe in search of a future their homeland can no longer offer. It would be easy, and perhaps justified, to conclude the story here on this note of profound tragedy. And yet, that would be an incomplete picture. Because beyond the human drama, beyond the political failures and economic collapse, lies a land of almost supernatural, primordial beauty. This is the country of Angel Falls, the world's tallest uninterrupted waterfall, which cascades nearly a kilometer from the misty summit of a mystical, flat-topped mountain known as a tepui. These ancient plateaus, which inspired Arthur Conan Doyle's The Lost World, are geological wonders, islands in the sky that are home to unique species found nowhere else on Earth. And in the west, over the vast, humid expanse of Lake Maracaibo, nature puts on its most spectacular and relentless light show. This is the home of the Catatumbo lightning, a meteorological phenomenon that produces more lightning strikes per square kilometer than anywhere else on the planet. For up to 260 nights a year, for hours on end, a silent, otherworldly storm illuminates the sky, a natural lighthouse that has guided sailors for centuries. This is the ultimate, heart-wrenching paradox of Venezuela. It is a country that can simultaneously shatter your heart with its suffering and take your breath away with its majesty. It is a cautionary tale of how a nation, blessed with unimaginable wealth, could fall so far, so fast. But it is also a story of a people who have endured the unthinkable, who find ways to create community in a vertical slum, who invent their own saints in the face of violence, and who still hold on to dreams of beauty amidst the decay. The land itself seems to possess this same indomitable spirit, a raw, electric energy that, like the Catatumbo lightning, can never be fully extinguished. Our journey through Venezuela reveals a truth far more complex than any headline. It's a living lesson in how quickly fortunes can change, how a nation's greatest strength can become its fatal weakness, and how the human spirit adapts, survives, and even finds beauty in the most challenging of circumstances. It shows us that a country is never just one story, but a profound, often contradictory, collection of them. What we've uncovered is not just the story of a nation in crisis, but a powerful reflection on resilience, politics, and the enduring search for hope. What part of Venezuela's story surprised or moved you the most? Share your thoughts or questions in the comments below. If this journey has offered you a new perspective, consider sharing this video with a fellow traveler who appreciates digging deeper than the surface. And to continue exploring the world's most fascinating and misunderstood places, make sure to subscribe. Thanks for joining this exploration. Stay curious.